So, oh,
patterns when I'm interacting with other people, and it seems to be automatic. Am I simply adjusting how I address their chakras and how I communicate through mine?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what you do. Um, what you want to then be aware of is making sure that your message is coming across from your chakra. So, you know what I mean? So that your message is clear. And, you know, when you're channeling, you are already going to the highest point possible.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that in a second, because
Okay.
I think a lot of you do readings, right? And
Yeah.
even if you don't, we are on service-based, we're in service-based professions. So Tanya, I'm going to go back and do the chakras.
Thank you.
So it's there's the root chakra, and then I call it the receptivity chakra, but it's, you know, the sex organs, I think that's the best way to say it. And then your solar plexus, and then the heart. And there are, just so you know, there are way more chakras. Those are the ones that I work with. Again, too many rules, I don't do well. Okay. All right. So dealing with clients. I'm trying to remember what Fluffy just talked about, because I said I would get there in a minute, because I wanted to talk about that. What was your
astrology?
What's that?
Astrology?
About the Leo rising. I can't remember what we were just talking about, but because of service oriented. Let's just talk about this. Oh, so here's what I want to talk about raising everybody's vibration and their energy. There are 3 ways to do it, and we're all service oriented. So again, there are more than 3, but let's just talk about these 3. All right. And it's the same as getting in an argument, just so you know, or any other disagreement, or just anything, right? But there are 3 ways. One is that you go to their vibration. Okay. 2 is that you find a way for them to go to your vibration. And the 3rd one is the one I'm talking about, where your vibration, or, you know, vibration, or we'll call it chakra, that to me, that's the same, is that you talk to their chakra and you keep talking to their chakra. And then you also have to interpret when they respond, because you're coming from your chakra. It's really hard to have a spiritual message up here when someone's not ready to receive a spiritual message, right? So what you need to do then is go back down from the spiritual, go from your chakra, talk to their chakra. So now I'm going to go, because I'm a 5th, that's funny, 5th dimension and 5th chakra. So just notice that. And I'm going to be talking to someone's solar plexus. So it's going to go like this. And then all of a sudden what's going to happen is that so it goes like this. So here's my 5th chakra, here's the 3rd chakra, and it goes here and it makes a triangle, right? It makes a triangle because I'm talking to their 3rd chakra, their 3rd chakra is talking to my 3rd chakra. I have to do it, a translation, and then so that I can understand, and then I got to retranslate so I can recommunicate back to the 3rd chakra, right? Until all of a sudden they start talking to my chakra. So then all of a sudden it goes 5th chakra to 3rd chakra, and she uses her throat chakra. Is that how that goes? Yeah, so 5th chakra to 3rd chakra, 3rd chakra to 5th. But to do that, there has to be translation, right? So I go 5th chakra to 3rd chakra. I'm sorry. Anyway, what happens is it ends up turning into a figure 8. Okay, so it actually goes 5th chakra to 3rd chakra to 5th chakra to 3rd chakra to 5th chakra to 3rd chakra, going like this, right? As you start understanding each other, the vibration raises, right? Because now you're finding things in common, and you are communicating on a much deeper level. And then the next thing you know, all chakras are open, and it is a spiritual conversation. Okay, so has anybody ever had, let's talk about, you want to go to difficult clients? You want to talk about, where do you want to go from here when we talk about that? Or difficult family members, friends? Okay, if you don't want to go there, then we'll talk about this other thing, which is that even if we are chakra to chakra, right? We also have to remember 1 in 68 trillion, as well as and part of that is because we have different experiences. So I love talking to, I believe Tana is like fifth, sixth chakra. She's a friend of mine. And I love talking with her. She talks so fast, right? That I have to just kind of do whatever I can to stay with her speed limit and then interpret in order for us to have a conversation. The other thing I can always do is just go, hey, can you slow down? You're way too smart for me. And then what happens is that you compliment that person sincerely, and then their energy again shifts so that it's more in balance with yours. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Yeah, I have if I can, I have a basic question, because you all seem to be readers and intuitive people and people. Sorry, not there, but I like to learn. My basic question is, I've been told most of my life that my intuition is strong. It's on, right? Mm-hmm. For me, and it's a feeling I get. My question is trying to strengthen my intuition. How do I know the difference between what my solar plexus is or my third eye is reacting to, or is it my head?
So that's the same as saying, is it intuition or is it ego, right? Right? Okay, so that is just a matter of practice. Okay, so, and what a lot of what a lot of people do is that they I'm trying to say it in a way that's not offensive. So it's kind of like saying, I know I can't say it. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna say. It's like saying, where's that called when ethnically, because you're not of that ethnicity, everyone looks the same.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like that. So your voices are similar, but they're not the same. Right? So if you ask me, I love when people ask me so I know the difference easy on site, the difference between Indonesian, Filipino, Chinese, Japanese, right? All that, because that's my ethnic group, right? Yeah. I know that sounds weird, but so it's the same thing with your voices. So what's important is that you kind of back off and kind of listen to the difference between the voices, okay? And then you'll know which voice that you want to listen to, right? It's not ignore the other.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. It's not a challenge. Yes, Fluffy.
I have a comment for Santana. Those two voices. Just imagine one of them is on your left and the other one is on your right.
That's angel devil, Catholic background. I'm Buddhist now, getting rid of that stuff.
Well, okay. I like doing it this way, which is if it's my intuition. Now, sometimes my intuition scares the shit out of me, right? And my fear voice scares the shit out of me. So that's why it sounds the same, right? So what I need to do is when I listen to that voice, I have to really sit in my body and go, where am I afraid? Right? Or why does it not sound? And that's where my practice went. And if my fear voice had to do with anybody but me, that is absolutely your fear. That is the number one trigger. So I would go, he's a motherfucker. That is not a spiritual thought. I mean, that's really easy, but really simple. I was just talking with my partner today about doing the dishes. I mean, super mundane, right? And the first thing I wanted to do was go straight back and go, I do my dishes. I started doing that head bob too. So I do my dishes. And, but really but then because I was taking it personally, I had to kind of step back and go, this really isn't about me. She's trying to say something. And because, right, cosmic irony, it's about communication. That's where my biggest challenge is, right? It's kind of an interesting thing. So, yeah, but it's nice that we, the not doing the dishes conversation did not end up with, are you going to break up with me, right? So, so that means that we're working with our chakras a little bit more. I would love to, so let's talk about you going down. So I told you there are 3 ways to change a conversation or to change your communication. The one that I was talking about is actually the most difficult, and it's the best, because if you're patient, one is that you're learning to work with all your chakras, and the second is that you have a better chance of really raising that vibration for whatever reason, right? You do not have to be a reader to do this. You really don't. This is for any service industry. Anytime you're talking to a client, it could be to anybody. a client, a prospective employer, prospective collaboration, anything like that, so that you can get a real assessment. The other one is that you go down to their energy level. That is a challenge, because that's kind of like, I was told that on Biggest Loser, that TV show, they had all this stuff going on, but then they did a TV show where the trainers gained a lot of weight, and then between the two of them, they both had to get down to, fitness, and it got really hard because they got tired. And that's the same thing about you operating at someone else's energy level. You can only do it for a certain amount of time. So, but there is a way that you can do it so that at their energy level, you can just relax into it, and you can just play at that energy level, and you're like, that is what it is. And you can start communicating that way. And the other one is that you get them up to your energy level. That's a little bit tricky, because the ones, it goes between, it's a very fine line between energy and ego. Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because then you're trying to force them to get up to your energy level. Then it gets a little bit like this. Does anybody have any questions about this? Because I know it's a little bit heady. Go ahead, Tanya. Wait. I can't hear you. No, I still can't hear you.
Maybe she
You
could
want to
type
chat it? You want to just go ahead and type it out? So while Tanya's talking about that, where's Spencer? So Spencer's here. He does martial arts teaching with me, and he knows, because he teaches kids, that sometimes you just have kids that are, tired from the afternoon, and all they want to do is just, be left alone. And it doesn't, you either have to like goad them into, getting back into it. So you play games, do all these things, or you just get down on that level and go, okay, we're going to meditate today, right? The other one is to do the workout. So is that the easiest way to talk? That, to me, that's the simplest way to talk about it.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any questions about that? All right. Let's see. What's the other pitfall of your intuition? Oh, it's the one that Santana talked about, which is sometimes, oh, no, it's not about one Santana. It's my favorite, which is we are all intuitive people. Intuition, just so you know, intuition is there's an intuitive body, which is beyond your physical body. All right. And your intuition is emotionally based, and it's experience based. So it's energy, experience, and emotion. All right. And I'll come back to that in just a minute. So Tanya said, so if someone is totally in their head and spiraling down with safety issues, whether real, but especially if not, how do you go down and bring them up? Okay, yes. So what you want to do, validating their feelings does not help them, because that's a third chakra thing. What you want to do is you want to keep addressing their safety issues. So here's the deal. Let's just say I'll use my daughter as an example. She's got huge safety issues. She feels broke if she has $5,000 in the bank. And just so you know, she's still in college. All right. So she'll say, I'm feeling really broke. So what the safest way to do it is, okay, I hear what you're saying. Do you have food in your fridge? Have you paid your rent? Is your car stocked up? Do you see what I'm saying? So what you're doing is that you're boosting up their sense of safety. I have a friend who's very safety conscious. So then we always talk about, do you have enough alarms in your house? I mean, it's that kind of safety, right? Do you need a whistle when you go out and walk? It's that kind of thing. So it's really talking to their safety till they can feel safe, and then they can move on. So it's not validating their feelings. That doesn't help. It's weird, but it's true.
I ask a question about another angle of someone, because I have a friend that's always talking about her health. Like, she just has so many health problems constantly. It's like, I mean, sometimes I'm sure she brings it upon herself, but it just feels like she's just so negative and all the time, and everything's always like, well, now I have this, and it just like, it brings me down every time I'm like talking with her, honestly, because it's just like nothing but negativity.
All right.
I don't know what chakra that is.
Yeah, so let me, is it okay if I do a really quick read on her? Do you guys mind?
No.
Okay, great. I just need your friend's first name and her age.
Nadia, 34.
And she's not coming up with the birthday. She didn't just turn or coming up with a birthday, right?
She did in February. It was her birthday.
All right. So I want you to know that Nadia has been like this, especially for the past 2 years. She's been especially downer, right? 2 years ago, I don't know what happened last year. And so it's a habit of her being a downer. She is actually a heart chakra person, and she is really into her cosmic irony. She doesn't feel special. She doesn't feel any of that stuff. So she's going at it at her health in order for you to make her feel special, right? She has no thumbprint on life in her view. It's a weird way for her to do it.
Actually always talks about that. She's like, I don't know my purpose. Like that's very bothersome to her always. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what she's doing is that she's using all her stuff for you to, it's a really juvenile way for you to get the acknowledgement you need that you're really special. But, that doesn't mean she's super immature. It's just, that's the level where she is on feeling validated in her heart chakra. So you know what you can do? You don't have to buy into it. Just tell her you love her.
Mm-hmm.
Go, hey, you know what? I love you. You're special. And I want you healthy. That's all you need. And what that does is that's you, right? Talking to her heart chakra, and it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Energetically. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Great. Now I forgot where I was talking about. I love this. So where was I going with all this stuff? I talked about ego. I talked about
your favorite part of intuition, your favorite pitfall or.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Bridget. So my favorite pitfall is we're all super intuitive, right? Oh yeah. And I talked about what intuition is, right? And that we all have intuition. So, so I told you that intuition is energy, emotion, and experience. So kids are incredibly intuitive because they're so open, right? But they don't know grief. They can't intuit your grief because they haven't experienced grief. So until they experience grief, it's not in their reality. But they're intuitive on so many other levels. They know sadness because you as babies get sad. They know anger. They know frustration. They know all these things, and that's how they're super. And they're they're not in their head. They're in their moment, and that's why they're super intuitive, right? Mm-hmm. Now, so the rest of us are super intuitive, and we want to be helpful. And the thing that really gets in our way is that we offer our intuitive wisdom without being asked. My favorite. We are all unlicensed therapists, and damn, we're good, right?
It was funny. We came up with this phrase a while ago called permissionaries.
Oh yeah?
Be a permissionary.
What is that?
A permissionary, meaning asking permission. Can I help you? May I respond to that? Would you be open to hearing me? So I call myself a permissionary.
I love that.
That's great.
That. Yeah, I like that. Can you post that on the page? I think it's awesome. I'm a little street, so not the most polite person in the world. My mom up in heaven is probably rolling her eyes, but what I have learned to do, because I am one of those people that I love to give advice without was it unsolicited, is that my kids and just so you know, your kids, your parents and your kids are your best teachers. Okay, just so you know. So my kid finally just said, can you just listen to me and say that sucks when I'm done talking? I said, oh, okay. So I have to ask her, I'm like, okay, so am I listening? And do I have to call someone a bitch? Or, are you looking for advice? And I'm not joking. So sometimes, she'll talk about something. I go, so now do I say, yeah, she's a bitch. Oh no, Mom, she's not a bitch. I'm like, oh, okay. You got to work that out. But so, and so that's where we actually run into our biggest pitfall. So permissionaries is awesome.
Yeah.
The other is just to ask, what do you want, right? Do you want me to just listen? I'm happy to just listen. My partner's actually super awesome at this, because once she figures out that I just want her to listen, as soon as that's done, then whatever feeling she knows that I'm feeling, she just kind of, puts her comment into that feeling. And I'm like, that was perfect. And now I'm not angry anymore and I can go do my thing. So that's really important. So it's really important. Oh yeah. And then the other side of that is just because you're intuitive and you have that information, it doesn't mean it's appropriate to tell that person what you got. Okay. Right? Because every human being deserves their experience that they want to have. All right. So, you know, I wouldn't want you to ruin my ride on Indiana Jones at Disneyland, right? By dumbing it down. I want to have, you know, full jolt experience. And even if it's like super painful and you know it's super painful, if that's what they're in for, then, you know, and that is actually my biggest pitfall because, you know, and I think what's happened with a lot of parents these days is that they're afraid that they're afraid for their kids to experience pain, that they do this thing. And so then, you know, but without pain, there's no pleasure. And I'm not talking about, you know, anything above rated PG, right? So it's one of those, it's just one of those things. Does that make sense? All right. Okay. So I've been talking for a while. I would love to take any questions, help anyone out, could do mini reads. What do you want? Go ahead, Fluffy.
Well, I have one question about what you just said about unsolicited advice. When I have someone come to me for a tarot reading and they ask a question, do I tell them what the problem actually is? Or do I get them thinking?
So you don't want to overthink it. So I don't, I'll just tell you how I do a reading. When I do a reading, I ask for the highest, you know, I go through my ritual. I ask for the highest and best reading for all those involved, right? Because even though I'm doing a reading for you, Fluffy, I'm actually doing a reading for you and all the people that you love, right?
Got it.
There's actually a nice little responsibility there. The second piece is that I am in constant communication with my higher source. So, then I want to remind you that I always say, how do I best communicate with this person? So for the most efficient reading, because I want to make sure you get your money's worth, because I'm not cheap, right?
Got it.
So then the next thing I do is that if I'm in constant communication and I know that I've already directed the best communication forward, and you know, and I'm in communication with my higher source, sometimes they'll say, this is what it is, but this is how you have to say it.
Got it.
Got it? So then that way you don't have to do any thinking. You are just being directed.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Santana.
So I'm going to make this short. I don't dream a lot. I don't remember a lot of my dreams. It's popped up occasionally. I think in a lifetime, maybe I know about 20 dreams. So last night, very briefly, I dreamt I received a check for over $9,000.
Do you know the number?
$9,000 and not 900,000. I don't know, but I received a check for a little over $9,000.
Do you know the actual number?
No, but it comes up as 9137 maybe.
Okay, we'll just use those numbers, right? So that's the number 20. So to me, if I were to do this as a dream, I love doing, just so you know, I love dream analysis. So what that's saying is that you're in for a big change for two things. One is that the way that you've been doing things no longer works for you anymore. So it's time to say goodbye to a lot of stuff. The other thing has to do with interpersonal relationships. So this doesn't mean that interpersonal relationships is you and your partner or spouse. What it means is that the way that you relate to people one-on-one is going to shift. So be aware. And it's very important for you right now.
That is so in alignment with the reading you gave me a couple days ago. I needed to see the vibrational shift. I had no idea. It's on.
There you go.
Yay!
Awesome.
Yes.
Can I help anybody else? Any other questions?
I have one.
Let's hear it, Ashley.
So for me, I have one particular client that, much like what you were saying about parents not allowing, like not wanting their kids to experience fear and whatnot, this particular client, I've done a couple of readings for him over the course of the last year and a half or so. This guy, I don't know how else to say it other than he is the type of person that will get a reading from me, and I know I can feel when I connect with him on a spiritual level and like just intuitive. He's very much like me in like heart chakra. So it's like heart to heart. So we connect immediately. However, I noticed in the last reading that I gave him that he felt depleted. So I ended up finding out the man is getting readings weekly by different people. For me, I felt awful because I'm like, while I think that like I could give you an amazing reading, I don't think it's necessarily going to be one that you're going to feel, I wouldn't say satisfied with, but it's almost like he wants me to give him the winning lotto numbers, you know, like, hey, how's next week going to be? How am I going to do in 2 weeks? I'm like, you got to live your life. So my question is how do you necessarily handle those type of clients? I've had to turn him away, like, hey, because he texts me every now and again, like, I want to schedule an appointment with you. I'm like, look, I just can't do it. I'm trying to find a nice way other than telling him, hey, live your freaking life, man. To, you know, say you got to experience hurt and a little bit of fear in order to live life and not necessarily like live life till the next reading you get, you know?
Sure. There's a bazillion ways to do it. The very first thing that I do is when someone says that, I say, this is no shit. I say, hashtag not that kind of psychic. I swear to you, I say that. I know it's like borderline rude, but I can't help myself. And then the second thing is I say, what is it that you're really looking for? Because if this is what you're looking for, really, I'm not that kind of psychic. And that's all you have to say. And just say, look, you know, it could be simple where we do connect on a heart to heart level. Now there's another couple of things, which is, sometimes people are in your life so that you can have boundaries, right? So, yeah. So I think it's time for you to kind of decide who you want for your clients. And usually when that happens, as soon as you do that, it's also time to change your price. And that's the business of it. All right. Yeah. So that's another thing. I hope that helped you out. You can, and just so you know, when I say hashtag not that kind of psychic, I just got on Instagram. So I have never used it, but you know, so take it, use it however you want to do it. And yeah, so I hope that helps. Does anybody else have any questions?
Well, I'm not so much a question, a comment. You know, you said boundary, and all of a sudden my soul question went, whoa. And I'm thinking that every relationship, pretty much every close relationship in my world in the past year has highlighted my lack of boundary. And it is incredibly surprising and a little bit disconcerting that it took me all of these years to realize that.
Or you can say, look how many more years I have left unfettered from that goddamn problem that I had just a few years ago.
I love
right?
it.
So,
yeah, I love it. Yeah, sure.
Right?
Okay. I'll
Right?
do that.
And that's the thing. So look, we're all intuitives, which means that our energy is out there, but it also means that we allow a lot of energy in. And so it's kind of like we're playing tennis with a bunch of like, ooh, I'm going to respond here, and I'm going to respond here, I'm going to respond here, I'm going to respond here. And it's kind of fun, but that is what ends up to be a lack of boundaries, because for a while it's fun and it makes us feel useful. But, you know, at the end of the day, I prefer to be by myself. You know? So I say to you, bravo, man.
Okay, good. Wow, you know, that's amazing. You shifted me entirely. Good.
I'm glad. Hey, hang on. So I have Tanya, and then I'll have you, Santana, okay? So Tanya, you had a question? Oh, shoot. I still can't hear you.
Oh.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Santana. I'll answer your question, and I'll go back to Tanya.
So I love that you said we need to practice intuition, between ego and intuition. I love that. are there any tools or exercises we can use to practice that?
Oh man, a bazillion. A bazillion.
I'll take
There's because of our personal experience, there's so many different ways, right? So the one that I love the most is I do meditations. And meditation sets you up for your intuition, because once you're in a really calm space, you know that your fear is quiet because everything has become right-sized again. So you go ahead. And so as a matter of fact, what I did this week, Diane's in my meditation class. So what I did this week is that we did an intention, and then we did a meditation, and then we, or like a problem, and then we did a meditation, and then we experienced our day to see how that worked out. And so what you're doing is that you're lining yourself up with that energy, right? By doing it that way. The other way is that you just start taking some intuitive classes and just start practicing. Or you go, it's hard to go with friends because you know friends. So, but here's what I'm thinking of doing. I'm throwing it out there right now. Is that through my Facebook page, or it's actually gonna be through Zoom, but for all the people on my group page, I'm going to do what I call a spiritual open house. So what we're gonna do, we'll call it a spiritual swap meet. So everybody comes in, we're gonna talk about a topic, and then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna line you up and have you practice. This is mainly for people who wanna change professions, right? Start their profession, or that they wanna add a new tool to their existing profession, right? That would be like me wanting to do tarot cards and then wanting to, bone up on it. So there's that. And then you give each other a 15-minute reading. Then there's a little bit of feedback, and then you come out, and then we have a bigger thing. So we could do that. We could do that. But there are tons of classes. There are so many people out there who want to teach or have so much to share. You're not. There's tons of sources. It's not like it's dry. It's right. It is not dry season in the spirit world. So, I could tell you just right off here, Bridget, Sarah, Ashley, Corinne, me, Tony, do you do intuitive work? Mostly in your financial stuff, right? Okay. All right. So, so does that give you a little bit of information there, Santana? Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and a very good friend of mine is an intuitive healer. She calls it the detective intuition. I forget, but she teaches this. She's been wanting me to take her class. Now this is the push. But I just thought, because another psychic medium friend of mine said she practiced her intuition by playing Yahtzee.
Yeah, well, that's more of a psychic thing, right? Not trying to figure out, but feeling for the numbers.
Thank you for that difference. Okay.
That's psychic, right? Intuitive, remember, is experiential, right? Experiential and emotional, and it's energy. Right. Psychic is direct connect, right? Walkie-talkie. What's the next number? 5s, right?
Okay. That's why that's where the question prompted, because it's like, okay, I don't understand how to use that tool because I'm predicting or pushing my energy to figure out what's coming. So it doesn't feel very intuitive. So I thought that's why I asked the question, do you have any tools?
I'm not a huge fan of psychic. Not that I don't think it's valuable, but for me, I really love getting into people's feelings because I'm nosy like that. I mean, that's just the truth. But there are some really good psychics out there, and they could tell you more. All right, so here's Tanya on boundaries. I recently cut someone out of my life, birth family member, because energetically it feels they are an energy vampire, and constantly everything wrong with their life and the world at large is always out there and never taking responsibility for any aspect of their life. I think we all have at least one of these people in our lives. Recently turned on me, and even in repeating back to them what they were saying, they kept at it. And finally I said that if you truly believe that it's best for both of us to cease communication, and I really wanted her to think about what she said. I would not be communicating with her, but I am open if she comes back and is regretful. Now, here's the deal about all this. First of all, congratulations, because that's a boundary thing, which is really good, right? The second thing is that it's really important I have a similar story with my brother, and I haven't talked to him in 5 years. He's the one that doesn't want it. But what happens is that this gives me time to really think about my imperfections. And I'll never be perfect, nor do I ever want to be perfect, because that just sounds boring. But, but I do want to be better. And so I think about how could I have communicated with my brother better? How could I, and am I ready to have that kind of better conversation? And as hard as it is, just know that you still get to work on your stuff. And then what'll happen, okay, now we're going to talk like chakra energetically. As you start raising your vibration, your family member has a choice. She either gets to stay here or she gets to raise her vibration. If she raises her vibration as well, good, because that means both of you are healing, right? And if her vibration decides to stay the same as you raise your vibration, as sad as it is, you're not going to want to play in the playground, right? You're upper yard, she's lower yard, right? And so that doesn't mean you don't love her. It just means that you say hello and you keep it very, it's not superficial, but it's kind of like very specific in that you say you love her and then you move on your way, right? You don't need to get in her stuff because those are her lessons in her life. It's hard. It's super hard. I don't even know if my brother's alive, right? Because he's a drug user. So, but I have to sit in my space and just go for that.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense? All right, does anybody else have a question? Go ahead, Fluffy.
Actually, I have 2 questions. The second one isn't that important, but I am trying to get my intuitive life coaching career off the ground, and I sent out a message to the universe to manifest someone that could help me get that going, and out popped an affiliate marketer. And there were certain signs involved that made me want to go with him, and he agreed to adapt his teaching styles and techniques that made him a success to what I'm doing. So he was going from high ticket marketing of products to a service, and he is choosing not to do that. And so he's trying to get me to apply his teaching methods and marketing methods to what I'm doing, and it's not working. And
Yeah.
I address this, and he is continuing to try to get me to do this. And I found out that if I do the exact opposite, I'm successful. And he is actually trying to use me as a success story, as an example of him taking something that works for him and applying it in a unique way and have it be successful. Now, I'm at that point where I need to ask for my money back because all I'm doing is wasting my time and his time.
Okay,
And
I'm going to stop you right there, okay? How much money did you invest?
$2,000.
Okay, so we're going to go, I'm working with symbology, who number 2. So here's what I've heard. What I've heard is that you are unclear in your one-to-one relationships, okay? And he's an example of a one-to-one relationship. My suggestion to you is that you can either work your boundaries, which is, this is not what we agreed upon, I want my $2,000 back, or you can walk away and consider it a $2,000 lesson. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but I think about other people who've had way more expensive lessons, and then there are people who had way less expensive lessons. The reason I wanted to stop you is that we don't need to go into the background of it, because what that does is that it gets you more into your emotions instead of just going, right? So this is where we are. So $2,000. So that tells me that you're working on your one-to-one personal relationships, and he is a perfect example. So so here's the thing about when you send an intention out to the universe, you got to take a look at your gift that the universe gives back, because unless you're a really clear communicator, what you get is what you asked for, but what you asked for probably wasn't complete. Right?
I'm familiar with that.
Right. Trust me, I am too. So this is where you want to go and go, okay, so am I going to turn this into a $2,000 lesson one way or a $2,000 lesson the other way? There's no wrong answer, because what it's about is about learning personal relationships. Got it? All right.
Got it.
Really, on just the speaking to people, like kind of at their level or whatever, when you mainly because obviously you knew my circumstances of job hunting. And how does that work for like an interview? Like right now, I actually just got an email, like the person wants to talk to me. So I don't know this person. And so, but the whole goal, obviously, when you're in an interview is to like connect and make that work. And so like, what is your advice for doing that with people you don't know?
So an interview is is a little bit different because you're at the first part of the interview, right? It's a phone interview.
Yeah.
So the thing about the phone interview is it's a little bit different. And so what I would recommend is instead of focusing on how to best communicate with that person, well, I'm going to give it a twofold thing, right? First, what you want to do is that you want to create your highest and best self. So go do a meditation, whether it's walking, do your favorite meditation to elevate yourself to the highest. Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to run your chakras. If you need help, we can talk about this offline. But you run your chakras to make sure that they're all firing. And then when you hear them on the phone, you'll know which chakra they're coming from because it's kind of like an elevator button being pushed.
Okay.
Okay. And then so then you can be yourself, but you know what kind of person you're talking with. Make sense?
Okay.
But you don't want to package it, right? Because the number one thing is that people can smell bullshit, right? So one little ounce of insincerity, and then they're like, red flag, red flag, red flag. And I'd rather you be sincere than to come off a little bit too practiced or too coached.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? All right. So it's 12 o'clock. I had way too much fun.
Wow.
I know, where does the time go? I think I'm going to do this once a week. So be on the lookout, and I'll probably, I don't know what it's going to sound, Chai and Chat sounds like really fun. Chai and Chat about intuition. I don't know. But just know that I want to do this on a weekly so that you guys can come up with any kind of questions. I'm happy to help. All right. Let's see. I'm doing a couple of fun little reading fairs. So I told Fluffy that I'm not cheap. I'm not cheap, but I'm cheap. So I'm doing a couple of fairs, one on the 15th and one on the 16th, and they're from two different companies, but you can get a reading with me at a lower rate. So I will post that out. The other thing is I'm teaching it's a 3-class series, and it's called My Mother's Work. And I want you to know that my mother's work was channeled in through me by my mother who passed away 5 years ago. And it's about, we all have really interesting relationships with our moms, right? And it's about getting to see them in a different light, and then getting to see what their work is, what their higher purpose was, how they interpreted it. And then that way you get to see your higher purpose, interpret it, see how it relates to your mom's work, be surprised, and then decide what you want to do with all that information.
I like it.
So that's called My Mother's Work.
What is that?
My Mother's Work starts on May 19th, and it's I think it's from 5 to 7, so it might be a little bit late for you. I hope you don't mind, but we could talk about something, Bridget.
Yeah.
So 5 to 7 my time. So that's what, 8 to 11? No, 5. Yeah, 8 to 11. Or 8 to 10. 8 to 10.
Yeah.
3 Tuesdays in a row. I also do Fifth Dimension. Fifth Dimension's coming up. If you haven't seen it, it's a real treat.
Yes, it is. It is a fabulous treat.
It's a little bit different than who you're seeing today. All right. So I'm really honored. I'm happy to give you more information, but just be on the lookout for more of these and other events. Okay.
Super. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful. Nice to see all of you.
Yeah, good to see you. Bridget, I want to talk to you because I want to collaborate. I have an idea.
Okay.
Just so you know, Bridget is like a fab, amazing Reiki master. And you also do tapping, right? You do tap, and she incorporates, she's just got this great thing that I'm going to share with all of with the West Coasters. So anyway, I am really amazed by you who showed up. Thank you so very much. And I hope to talk to you again real soon. Text me or get on my Facebook and message me if you have any questions. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste, everybody.
All right. Bye. Catch you later.
Thank you. This was awesome.
I'm so
Highlight it.
glad. I'm
Highlight
so
of my
glad.
morning
What's
and
that?
the week. Highlight of my morning and the week.
Awesome. I love it.
Great.
I love it. All right. Catch you later, Fluffy.
Bye.
Bye.
So long, sweet.
All right. Hey, Bridget, I want to talk. I want to talk to you in a little bit. Are you busy or will you be free?
No, I'm actually off and free and alone in my house.
No.
Amazing. True.
All
Yes.
right. I'll make it a really quick call because I really do want to collaborate with you.
Okay, sweetheart. We'll talk in a
All
bit.
right. Sounds good. See you later. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, baby.